Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows World Cup special with me, Gianni, Buttice, and football insider, Mr. Dean Jones. Dean, it's been an eventful couple of days. We've seen the likes of Germany losing. We've seen the likes of England and Spain going big. So far, it's been a pretty good one, right?
Yeah, it has been a good one. Yeah, a few expected big wins. You always want upsets early on. We've had a couple. And then luckily, the 3-0 are the 3 games I haven't watched. Happy days. Like, you're always taking a gamble on, middle of the day games. Like, I can't quite watch all of them. And luckily, I've missed the 0-0 so far. So yeah, that's good. Unfortunately, England have just been bettered, haven't they? So we were leading the league. If we'd have put everyone in one big table, England were top of the league. But Spain have now done us because they stuck 7 past Costa Rica, who are by far the worst team we've seen so far in this World Cup. I mean, they just did nothing that they needed to do to even unsettle Spain. And they've just literally passed around them. 1,000 passes completed for Spain, 168 completed for Costa Rica. That is an absolute pasting, and that is a lesson in football. But yeah, interesting. From an FPL point of view, from a fantasy point of view, it's going okay. I'm happy with it. The big one, Giroud, I brought him in. Remember, I had that last striker spot up for grabs. I was like, Lautaro and Mbappe are 100%. Who's going in the other spot? And I'd had Giroud in there from earlier, thinking fancy him, and I brought him back in, luckily. So that was very good news.
Yeah, good call. Good call. Guys, good to see so many of you in the chat. Coming up in today's show, we'll be checking out the fixtures still to come. We'll, of course, look back on all the games so far, the learnings so far. We'll show our points that we've got so far, as well as looking ahead to, of course, match day 2 and talk a little bit about our chip strategy. I, for one, I'm not wildcarding match day 2, and I'll tell you why later. But yeah, we should probably touch on, elephant in the room almost, is my hair. Loads in the chat mentioning, maybe we were late because I was getting rid of the top knot. Yeah, it's time to cut the hair and grow up. I went to my barber the other day, Dean, and I decided I wanted to get the haircut, right? I knew I wanted to get rid of it. I'm going out to Qatar tomorrow. And I was like, it's going to be really hot. I don't want long hair again for Qatar. And I need to be smart because I'm doing something on stage. And I showed my barber some of my old pictures. And I was like, I want my hair to look like that. This is how you used to do it 2 years ago. Really short back and sides, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, you're a dad now, mate. You're 35. Are you sure you want to go for that haircut? And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess maybe not. He goes, how about I give you more of a dad haircut? Yeah. So he was like, I'll give you more of a classic cut. And here I am.
Mate. Yeah.
I'm wearing a wig.
I don't think I don't know if it's quite a classic dad haircut, but welcome to the next stage of aging, mate. A few years ahead of you. So yeah, welcome to the group. Looks fine, mate. Looks good. Looks good.
No, I'm happy.
I saw the pile of hair on the floor. That's what made me laugh on your Insta.
Honestly, he was like, I've never swept away so much hair. I had to clean the hair halfway through. I had to do a sweeping job halfway through because I thought I was going to fall over on your hair. There was that much on the floor. So yeah, that was funny. But yeah, thank you for the love in the chat. FPL River, CH, Focus. Of course, you're with us this evening. Eddie, thank you for joining us. Look, we don't always do a Thursday night stream. We won't be streaming tomorrow night. We will be posting on our Twitter channels in the next few days, like when we are streaming. But expect on average around 2 streams a week. This is a common time slot early on in the schedule for us, 6 p.m. So we want to make sure we're done by the kickoff in 50 minutes time. So yeah, thank you for joining us. Please do like and subscribe and get your questions in the chat. Dean, I guess we should move on to what we've learned so far, right? So should we check out the fixtures? The results.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, this isn't just a fantasy chat. This is a World Cup chat for all of us to kind of bang our heads together and see what we've learned and what we've liked. Some big lessons from some teams that were unexpected, like Saudis have obviously shocked Argentina. I mean, this is the the marvel of football, really. I mean, they should have been hosed, home and hosed by half time. I mean, it could have been 4-0, a couple of tight calls on offside, maybe a couple of bad time runs. Whichever way you want to look at it, Argentina should have absolutely coasted through that game. And what was weird is how the psychology of that game changed so drastically. Before the match, Saudi players are literally crying because they're playing against Messi. No, well, I was going to say 90 minutes later, but no game is 90 minutes anymore. 120 minutes later, whatever the game was, they're crying because they've beaten Messi. And what was just astounding was how Argentina just couldn't cope with going behind and then dealing with the fact that the Saudis had this superior belief in getting over the line that they just were not willing to go away from. And, Argentina, all they had to do was go back to how they were playing in the first half, play those same defense splitting passes, and they would have been fine.
Yep.
But they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. And the Saudis were all over them, and they were, the adrenaline was pumping, and they were giving literally everything. They produced the performance of their lives. They had to. But for Argentina, that wasn't possible. Like, when you're Messi, it's not really possible to produce the game of your life in the second half against Saudi Arabia. That Messi will raise his game to produce the game of his life in a Champions League final, in a World Cup, a game that personally motivates him and something he aspires to. And that's what the Saudi players were doing in that match. And that is why I watch these games. That's why the World Cup is just an unbelievable watch, because you get that. And then the next night you're watching the Australia game against France and they go 1-0 up. And you know what they've got to do, but they've scored too early and they're just not good enough. And France quickly turned the game around. But then Japan, obviously a better team than Saudi and Australia, but still have managed to produce an upset today. And it's so good to see. Japan was so happy today, such a big win. And that's it. Like, people are so happy when they get these results. And it comes from a lot of hard work, but also some belief in there. And it's all about mind games.
Yeah, I'm loving it so far. And I think for me, the Argentina Saudi game was huge. I still think, I don't know, there was something about that Japan comeback today. Maybe they were both 1-0 down, these teams, and it's interesting. Let's go through them from top to bottom then and just pick out any fantasy interest in those teams. So I'm going to rule out fixture number 1. As good as Ecuador were, they play Senegal and the Netherlands. I think Senegal and Netherlands both potentially beat Ecuador. And therefore, let's not go into that fixture. But England, Iran, fantasy assets in the team. Harry Kane, Dean, he's had the ankle knock. He didn't have a goal involvement in 6 goals. That's really rare for him. Do you stay patient? Or if you're looking at England assets, should you be looking at one of the midfielders? Saka, for example, so much cheaper. You've got to expect England to score against Wales and USA. Probably not 6, but they've got good chances.
Yeah, I mean, it might be that Kane isn't the main man you need in fantasy. It might be that Sterling's the man. It might be that Saka's the man. But he would put in a brilliant performance. I'll talk about him a bit more in a second in Notebook. But it was really interesting. The England player, do you know what that impressed me the most was Harry Maguire. I was so impressed by the way he raised himself for that game. And this is the thing to look out for. I said coming to the tournament like a Harry Maguire redemption arc and set pieces. And we forget, like, England works so hard on set pieces. And I think Harry Maguire, if he's fit and if he's well, which he's looking like he should be for the USA game, I think he's going to score. I think he'll score from a set piece. I'm really into this narrative now. Like, after first putting it into my own head on a whim, I've now convinced myself Harry Maguire is going to be a hero and he's going to score.
They're vulnerable from set pieces as well. The USA team, they're not the biggest defense.
Yeah, they're small. They're quite a small team. They're quite a small team, and that is a weakness of theirs.
So okay, let's talk USA 1, Wales 1. Who do you predict gets second in the group if you were to name one team? Because USA were brilliant in the first half, I thought, and Wales were really good in the second half. It really was that classic cliche of a game of 2 halves. Which one has a better chance of getting something against England? Let's assume they both beat Iran. But
yeah, I mean, I guess the annoying thing for the US is the way that the fixtures come around, and England might have a different team out for the Wales game. And we'll still want to beat them because it's like a British grudge match or whatever. But there is a big chance that you rest players in the if we beat the US, which I think we will, we might rest players for Wales, and there's a possibility that Wales can get a point off us, and that's possibly what can edge it. I think US are the second best team in this group. I genuinely do, but I have to see how this game goes for them, because I don't. If England play the way, with the confidence and the mindset that they had in that first game, I don't think USA will be able to get out of it with anything.
I do think I'd spoken the last stream before our deadline was. I spoke about Pulisic, and I almost went with him. He was very good. Obviously got the assist. Gio Reyna should be fit for match day 2. USA, when you look at the team on paper, for me, are so much better, and I do think they'll finish second. And I think they could cause England a couple of problems. But let's have a look at Senegal versus the Netherlands, because here I think there's strong fantasy interest. Loads of us went heavy on the Dutch because the group is so good for Holland. And look, Senegal was always going to be their toughest game. They have Qatar and Ecuador in the next 2. But Senegal, for 80 minutes, it was 0-0. I thought they were really impressive. And I think Senegal are a team that I think they will qualify second. And I think they could keep clean sheets against Qatar and Ecuador. So I'm looking at bringing in a Senegal defender this week. I still think the Dutch, of course, Dumfries, if you're going to go for a defender, I've got him. We now know who their keeper is at 4.5 million. But also, I think I always say Gakpo, but you say Akpo. Is it like a silent GD?
Yeah, it's a Hakpo. Yeah, Sam and Jack have taught me that one. Yeah, it's Hakpo. Yeah.
He was good. And look, Depay's going to be back as well. So there's options in that Netherlands attack. Is that an attack you like, Dean?
It is. I mean, they don't really know where to play Hakpo at the moment. Like, is he a 10? Is he further forward? Like, what is he going to be in this team? But one thing he's one of the most confident players in European football right now, one of the most informed players too. We should all be considering him for fantasy. We should all be looking out for him in terms of a big transfer to the Premier League in January. I didn't think it was a brilliant performance by any means from Netherlands. I thought it was fine. Didn't think it was great. But to come away with a 2-0 win, I mean, unbelievable moment for them. And they should now go on and win the group. Senegal, you'd like to believe, will too. But I guess they've just got to make sure that they've got goals in them.
Yep. Guys in the chat, you're going to have to help us out here, because we'll go for the fixtures. I want you to name the one FPL or the one fantasy option you would go for this team. And that is Argentina. That we've spoken about how good Saudi were. Argentina have Mexico and Poland. Not easy games. They had a 0-0 draw each. I saw that game for Argentina and thought, Lautaro Martinez could be a steal here, because he's clearly getting the chances. A couple of offside goals. Was it 1 or 2? But his link with Messi, and of course Messi's in our teams, I think a double up is still on for that Mexico and Poland game, because I think Argentina could still win 3-4-0 there. They were that good early on. Maybe Saudi Arabia played into their hands with the high line. It obviously worked later on, but I really like the look of Lautaro. I think I've seen enough.
The only doubts I've got here is how Argentina reacts and what they're made of mentally, because they were obviously on a great 36-game unbeaten run, but we've seen in past tournaments how they flop, and that creeps back in. It's a pretty new manager to the scene. Messi's standing around with his hands on his hips, looking at the floor. I'm a little worried about how they'll deal with this, because Mexico are going to think, let's go for it. Yeah. Let's do what Saudi Arabia did in the second half. There's no point us trying to shut Argentina out, because we can't. The more they have the ball, the more they'll carve us open. Yeah. And this time they won't be offside, and it will be 2 or 3-0. This is kind of a derby match. Like, they're two nations that are close together, and in football terms do have a rivalry. I know Mexico would be really, really up for causing an upset here. I tell you, I'm wondering. I am wondering what Argentina are made of, and as part of that, I'm not sure who I back to stand out. I've got Lautaro in my team from Team 1, and I can reveal I've taken him out for week 2. He's gone. So we'll get onto that in a bit. Okay. But yeah, he's gone. He's gone. I've still got one Argentina player, but Lautaro's gone. And yeah, it might be a mistake, but we'll see.
CFC Blues says Alvarez, who came on and of course looked sharp. And look, maybe they look at it and go, Lautaro, we didn't win the game. We need to change something. We're going to give Alvarez a run, or maybe Lautaro's minutes aren't safe. But I like strikers that are getting chances. A bit like why I like Darwin in FPL. Even when he wasn't scoring, it's like, oh, I see this coming. Denmark, Tunisia 0-0. Look, I think the value there is we've always liked Mahler. Who was very attacking for Denmark, of course, got the six pointer. Mexico, Poland, similar. Lewandowski penalty miss is a shame. But France, Australia, I think Giroud's going to be the best value player in the game because he's been priced. Look, I don't think he's cheap. Can't remember off the top of my head what he is, something like 8.5. But he's been priced to not play. He's been priced to be an impact sub. And of course, he's playing number 9. Like Mbappe's 3 or 4 million more. I think they might produce similar points. Giroud 11, Mbappe 9. Again, there's a really nice potential double up. The fear for players like them, if France do cruise in game 2, then for that third game, potentially neither of them play because it's all we can rest players. With Argentina, that game 3, Messi won't be rested now. They're going to need something. So
do
France,
you trust Messi? Do you trust Messi? Do you still do? Like, because I do think this is a genuine question now. I do. Like, because let's face it, like, he should be able to step forward in a game against Saudi Arabia
and win it.
Yeah. This is Messi, right? He should be able to do that. And I know, like, we have the expectations we have of the man are ridiculous. And also, look, he's aging and there's no way around that. Like, he can't, he's not the man that he was at the last World Cup or whatever. But I don't know. I was just thinking as that second half wore on, his body language and stuff. I'm just like, I want to see you pick up the ball on the halfway line, dribble past the entire team and slot it in because you're Messi. And maybe I'm expecting too much from him. But I don't know. Again, like that's just a query I've got on my mind. He's on pens though, so at least he can score them. Well,
and penalties, we are going to see loads of pens. Yeah.
Not great at pens.
Yeah. Although the keeper did point where he should go and then dive the other way. And we are going to see more pens. So penalty takers in your team. Like I'm chuffed. Like Ferran Torres just took a pen for Spain. He's in my team. I didn't know he was going to be on pens. But France, I think we want to cover. Lucas Hernandez now, guys, is injured. Therefore, Theo Hernandez is in. Lucas Hernandez is out, ACL. Theo Hernandez is an absolute steal. Get him in your teams. Regrettably, I saw the news he was benched and therefore sold Theo Hernandez half an hour before kickoff. Half an hour before kickoff. And then, of course, he came on within 10 minutes, got a clean sheet and an assist.
I can't believe that. I can't believe it. Because when I saw him coming on, I was like, oh, Gianni will be happy. That's a good one.
I sold him for Cancelo, who hasn't played yet, but I'm going to be buying him back. I have to have Theo Hernandez in my team.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good. And he's going to be important now that, he's definitely going to be playing too. So 100% agree with that one. In terms of today, I missed the Morocco-Croatia. I'm pleased to say.
Me too. That's the only game I missed today, yeah.
I think that was okay. See, we've covered the Japan, Germany. I mean, Spain, I logged on here to start chatting before at 5-0. And by the time I actually got into the room, our producer was like, oh, I can't believe Spain are winning 7-0. I was like, what? Hang on, 2 minutes ago, it was 5. That's a unbelievable result and exactly what Spain wanted. They're going to just pass people to death. That is their strategy at this World Cup. And, Luis Enrique is just like, you won't live with us. And if you can, then fair enough. But from what I saw of the game, like Gavi, like he's just ridiculous footballer. Like to be doing what he is at his age is just insane. He's 18 and he's just running the show for Spain. It's just ridiculous stuff. Dani Olmo did well too with the opener. Ferran on pens. That's interesting, isn't it? Ferran on pens has caught us a little bit.
And starting, we weren't even sure if he was nailed, were we? So the fact, Ferran Torres has gone home he came off at 55 minutes. He was the first sub. Now, after getting 2 goals, to be first sub off, it's like, okay, you're resting your main man up front. That's how I see it. So I think that front 3 of Olmo, Asensio, Torres will play again. Should we be put off by Spain, which is a very weird thing to say after a 7-0 win, but knowing the group? Because now they play Germany next, and then they play Japan? Or do we think, no, they're heavy favourites in both those games, still load up on, or make sure you cover Spain? Because a lot of teams don't have a single Spanish asset in. And I have fair enough. I think I'm happy with one, but I do think there's room for everyone to have one, even with those fixtures.
Yeah. I mean, the motivation is they basically can knock Germany out the World Cup in the next game. That's how you got to be looking at it. You think, right, let's win this game by a couple of goals, and the chances are that Japan beat Costa Rica and Germany are out the World Cup.
Yeah.
That to me just says, I think it's something you have to back. I think after seeing that, I mean, the big problem Germany have got is they haven't got a goal scorer, and we knew that coming into the tournament. Kai Havertz had an absolute stinker today. No great surprise, possibly. Like he's not that man. Like I want to see Havertz find a role for club and country that he can thrive in, because I think he's brilliant.
Yeah,
I don't think he's found it yet either. And it's a bit hard on him to get through this mentally, I reckon. But yeah, I really think that Spain assets are something we need to really look at in game week 2, because this is the biggest match probably of this week, if this next round of games.
Yeah. What I would say about Spain, guys, and I don't know if you've looked really into it, but when you look at the fixtures, knowing, let's assume Japan beat Costa Rica, I'm fairly confident with that. That Spain versus Japan game in Matchday 3 is going to be winner takes all, right? Even if Spain lose to Germany, they could play Japan, beat them, and go through top of the group. If they draw with Germany, that Japan game goes winner takes all for finishing top. Now, everyone wants to finish top of their group. Therefore, I don't think Spain will hit Matchday 3, and I don't think there's a concern if you own let's say, an Asensio or a Ferran Torres, that they will be rotated or dropped, right? Their minutes will be managed like today, where they just come off early if they're cruising. So again, Spain, another reason for me to go, I need Spanish cover in attack.
Yeah, that's a really nice. I hadn't thought that far ahead, but that's a really good point, and that's going to make me even more strongly consider changing them if I can. I mean, this app is a nightmare. I'm not enjoying it at all. I'm not enjoying the app at all. But if I can figure out to get on my next transfer made, then I'll do that.
Yeah. And then look, this evening we've got Belgium, Canada. Loads of De Bruyne owners, I think, will probably be selling him if he blanks, but buying him in if he performs well. We don't know what we're going to get with Belgium. Slight tweak with the fixtures there, guys. You'll notice that it says Uruguay play Korea. I think it's Uruguay, Portugal, and then Korea plays Senegal. I guess we don't need to talk too much about the players that haven't played yet, Dean, other than for me to let you know, I just today got a ticket for Brazil versus Switzerland, which is in a couple of days' time.
Well, I was thinking, like, because you said the other day you're going to Qatar, but you can't get tickets. And I'm looking at the game and I was thinking,
yeah,
surely there's loads of tickets bouncing around. Like, these stadiums are empty. Oh, that's good news, mate. You excited about that?
Yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing. So you can go and buy paper tickets. So it's not on the app. Like if you go through the official source, you can go and buy paper tickets from like a FIFA pop-up in the city, which my friend who's there at the moment has gone and done today for those Brazil tickets. Apparently, if you want to go to a Portugal game or a Argentina game and see Ronaldo or Messi, that's really tricky. But a lot of those other games, you can get tickets. I mean, that Netherlands game earlier was like, or the other day, the Netherlands game, I was like, wow, the Netherlands-Senegal, big game. It was like 50% capacity.
It really was. It really was.
Such a shame.
It is a shame, and that's part of the risk, I guess, of this World Cup, isn't it? You know, there are going to be some. I thought, though, because they're all so close in proximity, like I've seen a lot of journalists manage to make it to 4 games yesterday. Like it was like a feature that a few outlets have done is like, let's get to 4 matches. I was like, if you can do that, surely you can fill a stadium. Obviously, there has been a bit glitchy on the ticketing app and stuff, which baffles me, really. I mean, they've had 12 years. Yeah. 12 years they've had to sort this out. And if it was going to be risky, like just have a backup option ready. But yeah, it's hopefully that the stadiums are full again, because it's a shame.
Yeah. Okay, good stuff. Shall we move on and have a look at some of our teams so we can see how we've done so far, Dean? So let's show yours first up. I think we got not bad.
Yeah, so this isn't actually right. So this is, sadly, Lautaro was in the spot that Sterling is in. So it says I got Sterling on 9. I didn't. Unfortunately, I had Lautaro on 1, and Sterling is coming in for Lautaro next game week. So that's the only transfer I've made. Yeah, on the app, it says I've made 2 transfers, and I haven't. haven't. I don't know what to do about this. It says I've made 2 and I haven't, because I'm looking at it. I'm just, like, I definitely haven't done this. Haven't been drinking. Haven't made any drunken things here and taken somebody back out and put them in, or anything like that. I've made 1 transfer. I know it.
Refresh
But
the page, because I refreshed the page after my original transfers and it completely changed. It went back to normal and it was
did
like,
it?
oh, it's sorted its error. Yeah.
Okay. Well, at least it's showing Sterling in my thing for week 2, because I really want him, and I'm really confident that Sterling is a good asset to have from this point forward. Watching the way that Kane's playing, it looks like Sterling might be finishing things off, might just be getting rebounds, tap-ins, things like that. So, yeah, I've been a bit more convinced that I flagged him before, and I think a bit more now that he's the guy to come in. Giroud and Mbappe, very happy with. What a performance from France. That was great to see. 6-6-6 at the back. That's great to see too. Probably not the best games of the tournament so far, but I was pleased to see that all 3 of those picked up points. Now, and I'm still waiting on quite a few players. Like, we're quite deep into this first group of games, but I've still got quite a few to play. So that's quite good, because in terms of how I'm doing, like, yeah, I mean, yesterday was the first time anyone played for me. So, like, yesterday I had like 0 points. It's 48, so that's not bad at all. I'm quite happy with that. You said that the point system changed yesterday on midfielders.
Yeah. So I think the strikers were always 5 for a goal. Midfielders were the same, which was weird.
Yeah.
Yesterday they decided to go midfielders now get 7 for a goal. So I saw that and went, okay, I'm going to captain De Bruyne. So I moved my captain's armband. Did you go? And they've made a few changes, Dean. It's been difficult, like, as you know, with the app changes. I've read today, if you make transfers or do any changes on your laptop or desktop, it works. But if you do it on the app, it's sometimes glitchy.
All right. I did it on the app. Yeah.
There's all sorts of hacks people are making around wildcards, and even the midweek game week transfers, where you can apparently sell high price players for low priced and then get more high price players in your team, all sorts of stuff. I'm playing more traditionally. Again, like, the wildcard window between match day 1 and 2 is something like a few hours. So I'm playing traditionally 2 subs each week. Our wildcard, I don't know when, possibly quarterfinals. And yeah, that's where I am. I have been making mid-game week transfers, and I do like that addition. So, for example, I saw Theo Hernandez was benched. I was able to transfer him out. Didn't work out in the end because he did well.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And then, of course, you can move your bench players on. So let's say, Dean, you started with Yannick Bash,
Yeah.
the former Brighton winger. And he gets -1. You can bench him and go, I'm going to put Xhaka in. So I'm assuming
exactly.
you started with Pickford, did you? Was Pickford
I started with
keeper?
Pickford, Di Maria, and Trippier. They were all in the team, and then they've all been subbed out. And actually, Lautaro was captain, and so
nice. You swapped to Mbappe.
So I've managed to switch Lautaro with 1 point onto Mbappe, and then I managed to get Pickford, Di Maria, and Trippier all out of the team. And Trippier was as Gvardiol. Gvardiol was going to be sub. He's coming and got 6. So that was good. Xhaka was on the bench. He's coming for Di Maria, and someone's in goal. And we don't know yet. So I like that. I mean, it keeps a lot of interest, and it definitely keeps you interactive during the game week. That is something I'd be massively keen on FPL bringing in.
Yeah, it's cool. It is cool.
It's
I do
really
like
cool.
that interaction through the game week. And being able to move your captain once is also really cool. You're obviously happy with Mbappe and you can't move it anymore. But yeah, he's at the moment, other than Giroud, your highest point scorer. So that worked out really well.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I mean, those two are just staying for now. I mean, they got Denmark next. I mean, it won't be as easy as playing Australia, but you look at that attack and they could easily score through.
So what are your plans for match day 2? We can't see your team, but it's what it is on screen.
Well, it's this, to be honest. Yeah, what you see on your screen is at the moment what I've got.
Despite and captaincy?
Well, I haven't really thought that far ahead. France, Denmark. Am I confident enough in that? Who plays first? To be honest, it would be out of Sterling and Mbappe, to be honest.
Yeah.
England play on the 25th. France play on the 26th. So I think I'll probably set it to Sterling, see how he gets on.
Yeah.
And then whack it on Mbappe the next day once Sterling hasn't scored.
Yeah. And Di Maria, will you keep him in your team? Who are you going to sell? You've got one more transfer. Well, we hope you're going to get another transfer.
I definitely have got one more transfer to make. Yeah, and obviously that, just talking about Spain there, that I want to get a Spain player in. for that Germany fixture. So the thing is, Di Maria is my only Argentina player left now, and just in case they do bounce back against Mexico, like there is, I know he's inconsistent, as someone said in the chat earlier, but Di Maria, like he's consistently inconsistent, and that means he probably will perform in the next one because he didn't perform in the last one. So I'd probably bring him into the team. I mean, Johan Bach can probably go. I don't know how much. I can't remember how much he was now, but not sure that's going to help me. It says here, naught budget. I think I've got 0.5 actually. We'll see how Milinkovic-Savic does. That was actually the one that I had in my mind that might go. So we'll see on him too. There's potential that I could get rid of him. I think they've got Cameroon next though. So
yeah, see
still
how
quite a bit to weigh up.
And Cameroon goes, I guess. You would love a 0-0 in that with double Switzerland defence.
Oh, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, it'd be very nice. Reasonable as well.
Good stuff. Okay, final question for Matchday 2. You didn't use your 12th man chip this week. You didn't use your wild card, of course, but you didn't use your, I can't remember the name of the chip. It's where your captain gets double, the default captain
power
goes
play
to
or
your
whatever.
best performing player. Do you think Matchday 2 might be time to use one of those?
I won't do it yet because I don't trust this game enough, and I also don't know what I'm doing enough. I'm going to save it until I really get this. I want to have this next game week. Figure out my team for week 2 just normally, and then hit it for either probably first knockout. I like the thing about the last 16, the first knockout games, is there will be a couple of predictable smash-ins, right? Yeah. At the moment there's possibilities now for a couple of teams to go through who, sorry, but they're not that good. Saudi Arabia on the crest of a wave, obviously, on back of beating Argentina, and I don't want to pour water all over their parade. But, if they do make it out of that group, there's a high chance that they could get quite a beating in the second round from one of the group winners. I can't remember who they would get now. But, and if you come, well, actually, I think that might be the group whereby if you come second, you get France, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. That the second place in that Saudi Arabia group gets France. So there's a good chance, for example, Saudi Arabia play France in the first knockout game. If that's the case, then I'm going to town on it. Because that's obviously a massive moment for Saudi. Would never expect to even get to this point. They've just had a ridiculous moment. But you watch France and you're like, can't bet against this lot. They're going to do it. So that will be my plan. I'll be targeting last 16 for, can you play wildcard and can you play?
Annoyingly not. No,
can you
not? One chip per week, yeah.
Is it? Okay, yeah. So we'll see which one's best suited at the time.
Guys, we're going to be answering your questions very shortly, so stay tuned for the next 10 minutes. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. Loads of you are watching, but very few have hit that like button. So if you could hit the like button if you like what you're seeing. And of course, if you're new around here, we're doing these streams throughout the World Cup. We're going to do a couple per week. The next one is going to be Monday. Make sure you're staying tuned for that. And of course, get your questions in and we'll get to them ASAP. First, we're going to just have a look at my team. So I have made 2 transfers so far this game week. Theo Hernandez went, Cancelo came in. And then I also sold, who else? I had Leroy Sané, who was injured. And I saw the injury news and went, I'm going to stay with Germany and go Musiala, who of course disappointed. He's already been benched.
Yeah, but he played. I thought he was the only German player who was good. He almost scored a wonder goal. He's the only German player I'll be looking to keep if I was you, because if they do bounce back in that Spain fixture, Musiala is definitely going to play, and he's good. He's so good. I think you're right having him, to be honest.
Yeah. He's going to stay. So there we go. So loving the fact you can make transfers mid-game week. So look, at the moment, my Matchday 2 team, this is my squad. Absolutely fixed. I cannot make transfers before that, but I can, during Matchday 2, make 2 transfers because we get our allocated 2, right? So I might make my 2 transfers during the game week. I may wildcard Matchday 3, or I may wildcard Matchday quarterfinals. Of course, we all get one in the last 16. I used my my 12th man, I had Mbappe come on. Sorry, it's almost like your 16th man. Mbappe came on with 9 points, which was good. And I'm looking at my team and I'm chuffed with it. Like there's returns all over in that 11.
Yeah,
I'm hoping I get goalkeeper points. Turner disappointed, but I'm giving the Uruguay keeper a go. Cancelo and still to play, but clean sheets with Sosa, who by the way is 4.5 million. Marlow and Dumfries close to attacking returns. Bergwijn was disappointing, but I'm going to keep the faith. I don't think I can get Hakpo. I think he's listed as a forward. I can't make that swap. Skov Olsen actually nearly scored. I think he had a goal disallowed, and it was Marlow with the assist, which would have been awesome. It was offside or whatever. My original captain was Messi. I had 12 points. What do you reckon? Oh, and of course, Di Maria is wearing a different coloured jersey, guys, in Spain. He is Argentinian, of course, but, it doesn't matter. He's third.
He might wish he's Spanish at the moment.
What do you reckon, Dean? I took the captain's armband off Messi. I tweeted before the Spain game to say it won't let me move it from De Bruyne to Torres, but I would like to because neither player had played. I hoped I was able to move from De Bruyne to Torres, who got 10 points. So I now need De Bruyne to get 10 points or at least beat Messi 6 because I've taken those points off Messi. For me, if Messi got 7, I probably would have stayed, but I needed more than that one attacking involvement.
Okay, yeah. I think it's fine. I think De Bruyne will get enough that it'll be fine. It's such a weird feeling, though, isn't it? That's it's like, I mean, it's far more nerve-wracking than it should be. It's just a game, but it's like, oh my goodness, this matters. Yeah, I mean, I think Canada are a good team. I think that people might be surprised when they watch them tonight, like how much they can offer, and we'll have to see whether Belgium can live up to the hype. This is the big thing with this team, like. They do fail to deliver, and they need to. This is probably their last chance to deliver with this set of players. And De Bruyne, I think if anyone's going to, it's going to be him. We see at Man City when they're struggling, when there's no Haaland, when they need a moment, De Bruyne delivers. So he'll be on all the set pieces. He'll drive out of midfield. I think it's a good pick.
Yeah. I don't know who my 2 transfers are going to be spent on during the game week, but it depends what we see in the next couple of days. Like, I think if Uruguay look good and Darwin's potential, although I don't think I want to sell. No, I definitely won't be selling Messi, Giroud or Torres. So I guess I won't be looking at forwards. Neymar could be someone I look at because I think he's a midfielder in this game. I'm confused because I play fan team as well. So yeah, I'm not too sure where I'm going, but at the moment I'm fairly set. I think at the moment my armband's probably on Messi. I do think Argentina versus, I think it's Mexico up next, has got good haul potential for Messi because I just think Argentina will know they need to come out the traps early.
Yeah, I mean, look, Mexico, they don't know, their fans don't know what they're getting from one game to the next. Like they're a team that are very inconsistent. The draw that they had is pretty typical for what they would have thought. I thought they did all right actually. I think they got a couple of nice players. They got Chucky, they got Alexis Vega. They've got some quality and creative quality, but yeah, they're not wholly convincing. And I think it'll be a really big first half where it's combative and stuff like that. And then the second half is where Argentina might need to let the quality shine through. And Mexico, I think we're going to have to be a bit cautious about just how much they get stuck into this Argentina team, because I'm sure they will try to rattle them.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So yeah, I think I'm pretty well set. 58 points at the moment. I've got $1 million in the bank. I did look at my rank earlier. Here we go. I don't even know how many playing, so it's pointless. 65k. I don't know how many that is of.
I'm back to my transfer's back.
The refresh screen worked. Come on,
the transfer's back.
Dean, I was thinking I want to use my captaincy boost thing in the groups because I just think the whole potential. There's so many mismatches. And we've seen it, right? No one's gone really big. There's not been any monster hauls in terms of players, but has been in teams. So there could have been an England player that gets 4 of the 6. There could have been a Spain player that gets a hat trick. So I'm gonna go for it in match day 2 or 3. What's putting me off match day 3 is 1, I could wildcard, but 2, those games are often quite tense, aren't they? Because you just don't know. There's so many variations of what can happen.
So many variations.
So I think I'm going to go game week 2. Yeah. I think I'm going to go match day 2. But in match day 2, we don't have the same matchups on paper. I was going to say Argentina, Saudi Arabia was a really good one. But you never know. When you've got players like Mbappe and Messi, they can score De Bruyne. They can score hat tricks on any given day on any given opponent. So I'm just going to go match day 2 on it. I'm going to use that chip.
Oh yeah. I mean, with that being said, then would you look at, because there aren't as many like obvious whipping boys fixtures, I guess. But what about England USA? Do you think that we could score a few against them?
I don't know. I was surprised how weak they looked defensively second half, but I was also really impressed with them in like their midfield and their attacking movements in the first half. I thought were
Yeah,
really good. Pulisic
yeah.
looked great. I thought McKennie looked good early on.
I thought they all just wilted though, and I think that
They did
two of
collapse.
their
They looked
midfielders
knackered.
came.
They were getting cramp.
McKennie came off, and
Yeah.
Musa came off, and their midfield is their strongest point, USA, and I'm just not sure they've got the depth and the ability to get through the whole 100 minutes, which
They
is
were
now what it
dropping
is.
like
It's not 90
flies, weren't
minutes.
they?
And if we're bringing in, Bellingham, Rice, Mount, and then to come in still, you got, I don't know, Calvin Phillips, Jordan Henderson, whoever else I've forgotten. We've got a lot of depth there. I don't know. I've just got a feeling that in the second half of that game, England might get a run on it. And also, like, the US defence, like, their centre backs are Walker Zimmerman and Tim Ream. I'm like, Tim Ream, a Fulham fan, he's having a good season. But
He's
can
not
he
an
cope?
international footballer.
No, can he cope with Kane over the course of 100 minutes? Kane, Wilson, Rashford, Sterling, Saka, Foden, Grealish.
Yeah.
Like, that is a bombardment of attacking options for the US to hold up. And I don't know. It's just, I just think England might have to be a bit more of a consideration for people this week. I think there's a possibility. I've been always quite cagey about this game and thinking it'll be tight. Like, worst case, I think we could draw this. Maybe we'll just get a tight win. And yesterday I was reflecting on the way both teams have played, and I was like, I can actually see us winning this about 3-0, 3-1.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm just getting excited, but just think it's something to bear in mind.
I think USA will score. I'm confident of that, and
I think they'll score too. Actually, yeah.
For that reason, like, I'm happy that I've just got one England defender. I'm looking at my fan team entry, going, "Oh, I've got double England defense. I think I might sell one of them." But yeah, I think other than that, I'm not massively convinced. The problem with England attack, whilst I like it, I can't guarantee it's going to be Sterling, Kane, Saka, Mount, even the fullbacks that get the points. So it's not like when I watch Argentina or even France with Mbappe and Giroud, where I can see the source of points in that team straight away. Usually, historically, it's always been Kane, but look, they're firing from all angles, so maybe that's not a banker anymore. And the ankle injury is concerning.
It kind of is. I mean, I was speaking to someone today who's out there, and they're more sure than they're writing that Kane's fine.
Okay.
Like, that, all the indications are that Kane is fine. Like, he's running, he's joining in everything. It's a slight concern. They haven't had the full extent of the scan back, but they know there's nothing major there. They just got to make sure that everything's clear, because I guess the worry is that if anything shows up on the scan, well, Tottenham's doctors have to see that too.
Yeah.
And so you can't just play a player if he's got an injury. I think that there's certain protocol that has to be carried out, and you might have to consider leaving him out. But all the signs are, and the optimism is, that he'll be available for that game. And I'll be honest, I don't think the US will deal very well with it. To be like, I don't. I think that Harry Kane is just on a different level. Even in that last game, people he didn't even score in that game. He was brilliant. He was brilliant against Iran. He really was. Yeah, exactly. Like, the way he brings everything together, the belief he's got now in himself. Like, he's so assertive. Yeah, it's really interesting. This is an interesting comment, actually. I'm loving all the extra minutes being played. We're actually seeing 90-minute football games. And I do and I don't. I do and I don't. And I like that, like, the whole idea of it is that, we're getting 90 active minutes of football. That's the idea. We want 90 minutes in play. The issue I've got with it is that it takes something away from the end of games, whereby, for example, the Saudi Arabia game, they're getting towards the 90th minute and they're trying to see it out against one of the best teams, the best player that's ever lived. And in their heads, they don't know if they're playing another 3 minutes or they're playing another 15 minutes.
Yeah. When can you start going to the corner?
when can you start like taking the ball to the corner, throwing your body, like smashing the ball into the stand,
Faking
making
an
a little
injury.
tactical foul, like,
Yeah.
and also like those tactical fouls that time waste are now a waste of time because the time gets added on at the end again. And like, I don't actually like that to some extent because that's part of the game. And like, as annoying as it can be when your team is the ones trying to get it, like, well, it's something that's been there forever in this game. And I kind of have liked it. And I don't know, it just feels so weird to me. Every game that we're watching getting to like 98, 99, 100, 101. I'm like, oh my goodness, what are we watching here? It's just a mindset thing. It's like the whole offside semi-automated thing. It's something that we'll get used to over the next year. It's not going to go away now that they've introduced it. We've all got to get used to it. But I do find it a little weird.
FPL 1881 says he's liking that he's seeing games of actual 90 minutes football. It's worth noting in a normal game of football, let's say a Premier League game from 2 weeks ago, average ball in play time is anywhere between like 57 and 63 minutes.
Is it really?
You just don't get 90-minute football. So even now, sure, it's great we're getting this added on time. We're getting nowhere near 90-minute football still. It's probably 70 minutes maximum.
Yeah,
that's why Wenger said make football an hour. Wenger has said stop, like rugby, when the ball goes out for a throw-in, stop the clock and you play to 60. And he thinks
we might get there. We might be getting to that point, you know. We might be. And it is hard. Like, you know, you look at, obviously, in the England around game and the goalkeeper got that injury and it held things up for so long. I mean, they might as well have just restarted the game at that point. It was such a long break so early in the game. It felt really weird. And then I think there was 30 minutes of added time altogether in that England around game. Yeah. But yeah, there's a few things that we're all adapting to, and the new semi-automated VAR offsides is the two main ones, I guess.
Yeah. Guys, Belgium kick off in 9 minutes' time. We've got 9 minutes left of the show. De Bruyne and Hazard start. The wing backs, this is where it becomes interesting for FPL because a lot went Meunier. It is as we predicted with Castagna, right wing back, Carrasco left wing back, Thorgan Hazard will be on the bench along with Meunier. So again, Castagna becomes an option because he's listed as a midfielder. I think Carrasco is listed as a midfielder. So there we go. I expect big result for KDB and co. Dean, let me ask you a couple of bits so we can digest. Look, we want to answer your questions, guys. So please do get them in. We'll pop them up on screen when we'll answer them. But the code for the mini league can still join, bottom of the screen. Goal of the tournament so far. For me, Saudi Arabia. I wish I knew names. I'm terrible.
Al-Dazari, is that how you pronounce it?
It was so. I know it wasn't like the cleanest of hits, but it was the way he just found space to shoot. And Argentina all over him. And then Martinez, I think got a hand to it, but he was never saving it. It looked like it was in from the moment he hit it. Yeah.
It was unbelievable. And this is the thing. Like, if that had have been Messi, imagine how many times we would have seen it. Imagine how much would have been written about it. Yeah. But it's a player that most people hadn't heard of, but it was an unbelievable moment. I mean, look, he's a big player for Saudi Arabia. He's an icon of that team. So, you know, there is a part of the world in which, you know, they really do idolize him. But for a lot of us who hadn't seen him before that moment, it was this funny one. I liked Saka's, I've got to say. I thought Saka's was a great strike. That's probably just me being biased. Can I think of one more that stands out? Off the top of my head, actually.
I'll tell you what, the Sterling goal was good, but we spoke about that Kane pass already.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just been a really good tournament so far. I'm just enjoying it. I'll tell you what, one moment I think that's worth talking about too is Gareth Bale's penalty, because Gareth Bale had a terrible game. And he does this all the time. Gareth Bale doesn't really get involved in football matches anymore. Or he doesn't do a lot with the ball. Yeah. But there's really very few people that can come forward with moments like he can still. And that is the value he gives you. So even in fantasy right now, in this group stages, if Wales are going to score, it's probably Bale.
Yeah.
And they probably will score in both of their next games. And it'll probably be Bale in both. So if you're looking for someone a bit different, and you're thinking, well, Bale didn't barely touch the ball. And when he did, he gave it away, or he didn't look convincing. He won't miss a chance that he gets, whether it's the header like he scored for LAFC to help them win a trophy, whether it's that penalty he scored for Wales. Really important moments. Oh yeah, actually, the Bellingham header that someone mentioned, what a moment that was. That was a great header actually from Bellingham. I don't want to just pick England goals, but yeah, that was a good goal.
Yeah, I love the Giroud header for the record, and what a record! Like he's equalled Henry's records. That goal means so much.
Impressive,
but the way
that is,
Mbappe can just stand the ball up on his weaker foot like that, and he hit Giroud. There was 2-3 centre backs around Giroud, but he was favourite to win the header because the ball on Mbappe's left foot was so precise. And in that game, I was watching Mbappe just thinking, no one can leave their man from a standing start quicker in world football than Mbappe.
No
that
way.
shift and run, or as we've seen, shift and shoot a lot. Yes, he's electric over 50 meters or 30 meters. But by the way, forward attacking players rarely have to sprint more than 30, 40 meters, but it's the acceleration over the first 10. And he's not, usually you see really short players like, Hazard's always been electric over the first couple of meters, but Mbappe is quite long-legged and still the acceleration's insane.
Yeah, he is. And so England would play, if we look on paper, would play France in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, well, how would we stop Mbappe? The only chance you'd have, Kyle Walker would have to be fit again. And you go England will in the knockouts, I think, go back to 3 or 5 at the back, whichever way you want to look at it. Okay. But you need Kyle Walker playing as the right-sided centre half and having someone at the fullback to help
Trippier
him.
And Walker double up.
Yeah, it has to be. Walker's one of the only people that would be able to keep up with him and deal with him. So I think England will have an eye on that already, to be honest, and they'll probably have. I know Kyle Walker's ahead of schedule in his rehab, and they're quite happy with how things are progressing. So that should be the case. It's just a question there saying, do you think all the crazy upsets are to do with the strange circumstances? I guess we could end with this kind of chat. No, I think it just happens, I think that every World Cup, every tournament has upsets. Yeah. And it's so much to do with psychology. And I think with that Saudi Arabia game, even though I was reading that, Argentina fans did outnumber Saudi fans inside that stadium. I think there was 30,000 Saudi Arabian fans inside there. And the noise they generated was unbelievable. And the vibe, I don't want to say this win was won on vibes, but it counted for so much. And England were beaten by Iceland in embarrassing circumstances when they couldn't get to the same levels mentally that Iceland were at on that day. And it happened here too. And sometimes you just can't get in the right frame of mind to get your head around the situation you're faced with. And by the time you do, it just felt so weird. It felt like Argentina barely realized it was happening. And at the end, they're just kind of standing around looking at each other like, we're supposed to win this tournament. We just lost 2-1 to Saudi Arabia. It's unbelievable. But it's why we watch. So yeah, it's obviously a weird tournament for different reasons, but I think this just happens anyway.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll always get it. And look, we've had 2 massive shocks. We might not see another one for a week. We might get one in Matchday 2, one in Matchday 3. But yeah, you never see a huge amount. But when you see them, they're fun. And I don't think we thought it would be Argentina and Germany on the receiving end, which is what makes it quite fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you one shock I didn't see, and that was the Spain-Costa Rica. I'm disappointed that I didn't have more than just Ferran Torres. I saw that matchup and just went, Spain are going to go huge here. But it was just knowing who's going to play for Spain. Like loads went Sarabia, who didn't start. No one thought Dani Olmo was going to start. He did and played really well.
It was hard. You could never have guessed that lineup. I was looking at that team before kickoff, and I was like,
Rodri played centre back.
Yeah, Rodri's playing centre back with his Man City mate. Morata's not in the lineup. I didn't even know where everyone was going to play. But it does make you think too. Like Japan, Costa Rica. Japan might fancy that too. They could score a few against them. So Costa Rica might end up being the worst team at the tournament for sure.
Yeah. Dean, from what we've seen so far, if you were to predict a winner, I'm sticking with Spain. I backed them to win. I'm gonna continue with that. Who do you think would be your favourites and what you've seen so far?
Well, I haven't seen Brazil yet, and they were the team I picked. So I can't say them. So I'm just going to say England because England are going to win it now. I'm actually starting to believe it.
Are you?
I think the only way,
France were pretty useful. France were pretty useful.
We'll beat them. The only way I think we'll lose this tournament. This sounds ridiculous. It's not a bad decision. Like, how we didn't get a penalty when the geezer's holding Harry Maguire like that is ridiculous. And that it just feels like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, this is how we go out, isn't it? This is how we go out. Like, we've actually got a good team. There's not much ego in it. There's not much, there's not a star that has to be playing, maybe Kane, but there's not like a Rooney. There's not a Beckham. There's not like someone that is all pinned on here. You've got a really, really good team. We're going to go out on like VAR or something.
If Kane is injured and can't play or gets injured, Callum Wilson's the only other 9 in the squad. And yeah, Rashford can play there, but he's not a good 9. Rashford's not a good 9, though. And Callum Wilson will pull a hamstring after 5 minutes. I think Southgate, a 26-man squad, to only have 2 number 9s, out-and-out 9s. I know Rashford can play there, but you have to pick a third 9. He's got...
Yeah, maybe. But I imagine maybe rest Kane against Wales or something like. If England win the next game, maybe Kane gets a rest and he's all right to go from there. Yeah, there's probably something like that.
Yeah, and
but yeah, I'm going England. 9. England are going to win it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I must admit, France, I do wonder, with seeing their centre-back choice, I was surprised. I was really surprised to see Konate and Upamecano starting together. I just think they're both a little bit raw. There's not a huge amount of international experience there. Jules Koundé gets a bit of love, but again, he's not got a huge amount of cap. So I do wonder if France can be got at, those two and Lloris, the centre-back pairing and goalkeeper. But yeah, guys, the Belgian game's about to kick off. Yeah, we'll leave you to it. Dean's going to be back on Monday with a very special guest. Stay tuned for that one. So that is Monday at 6 p.m. And then I'll be back from Qatar middle of next week when we'll do another stream. We'll post all of our times on our Twitter page. You can bookmark them and hopefully stay with us for the journey. I'm going to be using my captaincy boost chip this week. Neither of us are wildcarding. We'll keep you posted with our movements on Twitter, as I said. Before you leave us, please do like and subscribe. But for now, he's been Dean, I've been Gianni, and we've been chasing World Cup Green Arrows.